This week on In the Field, the value of arriving on site early. Hi everybody, welcome back to In the Field. My name is Scott Davenport, and this week I'm talking about the value of arriving on site early. So you've done your research, you've picked a location, you've done as much virtual scouting as you can. You still need to get on location early. Don't expect to roll up at 10 minutes before sunset and get that magical shot that you want, because things happen. The world is always changing. Access points are different. In my case, which you'll see here in a moment, tides are different, and that really affected my outing this time. So I was going to La Jolla, a place I've been many times. You've seen lots of different shoots I've done in La Jolla on this video series, and I wanted to do something a little different and go to a place that I had been many times but hadn't shot from a particular vantage point. Let me actually show you really quickly on the maps. So San Diego downtown's here, and here's the stretch of La Jolla, and I wanted to go back to Bird Rock, which I hadn't been to in a while, which is right down here. I got there, didn't find what I liked. I ended up going to a second location and then to a third location before I got to the point where I could shoot what would be a reasonable photo. So you'll see here in the footage, what I found. And well, let me just cut to the footage. Let's get going.
So I've come to Bird Rock area in La Jolla this evening for sunset, and this is an example of why I get to a location early. So I had found this little alleyway that's behind me here, and I've hopped this fence to come out on the edge of this rock. And what I was thinking about when I saw these area from the aerial maps was shooting these rocks you see here in the scene here. There's not very good access, and the tide is incredibly high, so the foreground is pretty much washed out. At low tide, most of this ocean would see is not there, and there's some interesting ground cover, rocks, and so forth. So I'm up here, kind of precariously perched, scanning the various areas of the cliffs, seeing if I can find another access point that would afford me a decent shot at high tide. And honestly, it's not looking too good. There is a stairwell off to the distance there. I'm probably going to take a drive up over there and see if I can find something interesting in the foreground and hope that I can make the shot about the sky and some of these clouds hold so we can get a good shot. If anything, this is going to be a mental note. Coming back here when the tide is lower, I'd feel a little more comfortable about scrambling down these rocks and getting a shot with some more foreground interest. So I've made my way down the stairs here, and I'm still striking out in terms of a good composition. The foreground rocks here are nice. I've actually been to this location before at sunrise, but the tide is very high, and so there's a lot of interest that's under the water that you just cannot see. This setup here looking to the south is not bad. There's some decent foreground, midground, background. The lower right corner is a whole lot of dead space. There's really not a lot going on there. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pull something off there meaningful. There just isn't enough wave crests either to add visual interest to that part of the scene. So I'm going to study here a little bit longer, take a second look at the maps, and then decide what I'm going to do. Take 3 here on the outing. I've moved up farther north on the coast, and I've got a little stretch of sand here. I'm going to be working in this area tonight. This is going to yield some good things. I'll be pretty happy with something tonight, especially if the marine layer kind of looks light right now. Should be able to get some of those color in the sky, but before the sun goes down entirely. So time for me to put this video camera down and get to work. I need to make this quick. Set up for my composition. You can see the surf is continually threatening my tripod. I'm going to hold onto that. You can see the legs are buried in the sand here to give it some stability. And I'm using this foreground rock as my main element here. I'm letting the sun dip down over the horizon. Waiting for the clouds to get a little oranger, then I'll just take a few frames and go get dry because I'm soaked from about the knee down. Another quick observation I'll make is because the surf is rolling in so much, the sand is shifting, and so my tripod is not staying in the exact same spot. So I've been concentrating mainly on getting the rocks and some interesting waves for while there's still some sunlight here. And then now I'm waiting for the sun to just dip under the horizon, and this sky is going to light up really nicely. Because the horizon's nice and flat and separated from the rocks, that's something I can blend in post.
So, the fact that I arrived early really saved this shoot. I was able to, more or less quickly assess the situation, and I was able to attempt 2 backup plans that I had. I even had a third, a plan D, that I didn't have to use, thankfully. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I had arrived a few minutes before sunset. I would have been scrambling, and I would have come away with nothing. And it's really, really fortunate that I didn't cut corners on time for this shoot, because I came away with some fantastic photos. Here's 1 or 2 of them that I've processed already. I had a brilliant sky, and tides were nice, the water was flowing well, and I would have been probably genuinely heartbroken if I hadn't been able to capture this particular evening, just because I didn't get to the location on time and give myself enough time to work the scene and find that right composition, so when the sun did hit the horizon, I was ready. Tip of the week: arrive early. Get to your location early. Bring a book if you're that bored, but get set up, be there, be ready. And if you've got time on your hands, there's other things to do. If you have just your iPhone or a second body, walk around a little bit, play a little bit, take a few other shots. Think about what I call a 50-50 rule. Spend half your time getting the shot that you've found, composed, and set up for, and then before the light's gone, grab something else. And I did that as well on this shoot. So arrive early. That's it for this week in the field. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, let me know. Shoot me a message. +1, like wherever you're viewing this. Share this with a friend. Subscribe to the video channel. Any way to give me an indication that these videos are informative to you, and I really, really love getting your questions. Those things help me think about my photography. Hopefully my answers help you with your photography, and at the end of all this, we become better photographers together. Until next time, my name's Scott Davenport. Thanks very much.